Now this is a knife.
Gave me newspaper. They stuffed the box with newspaper. Thank you, Plaza Japan. I'm pretty excited. The Mafex 075 Spider-Man is a figure that doesn't really need an introduction if you're at all familiar with Spider-Man action figures. Mafex is regarded as one of the best 1/12 scale action figure companies, and Spider-Man is probably one of their most famous action figures from their line. When this figure released, it was kind of a revolution back in 2019. A great 1/12 Spider-Man that can pose well, looks great in vanilla poses, nice paint apps, and overall it's just a clean, classic Spider-Man action figure. Being somewhat new to this whole action figure collecting thing, when I heard that the Mafex 075 was getting another reissue in the form of this figure right here, I was beyond ecstatic, and honestly, I couldn't help myself, so yeah, here he is right now. This is personally my first import action figure from a highly regarded company such as Mafex, and to be honest, it's a pretty good first impression. There's a lot I like about this guy. He poses well, the paint apps are pretty good for the most part, and he's just like the classic Spider-Man look to him with those big bug eyes and these more slender proportions. Even though this is a premium price point, Mafex likes to pack in a lot with their figures, and this figure is no exception. You get a nice variety of hands, two pretty well painted head sculpts. Elaborating on these head sculpts, the unmasked head sculpt is honestly a lot better than I expected. Previous versions of this head sculpt used to look pretty damn yellow in my opinion, and kind of looks like he had jaundice or something, but this head sculpt doesn't have that issue, and the paint apps are very clean, the hair is very well detailed, and yeah, I think it captures this classic Peter Parker look very well. As for the so-called angry head sculpt, yeah, I can tell why people are kind of iffy on this one and probably just pick a different head sculpt from, say, Faru's store or whatever third-party place they can get it from. It's just not really that much different. If they really wanted to make this guy like super pissed off, then they probably could have made the eyes more angular, you know, more squinty, but that's just my opinion. As for the web accessories, they're pretty alright. They're nothing like too crazy. There's a little bendy wire and they just kind of hang there. But they're a lot better than what Marvel Legends offer, which is usually nothing. You get this little net web, looks pretty cool, but I for one don't really care about these accessories because I usually use my custom webbing. But if you don't care to get your own web effects or whatever, then you just definitely will get the job done. They look pretty good. Something I think is definitely the highlight of the accessories are just all the hands you get. You get all the hands you would need for Spider-Man posing and then some, and of course you get Mafex's iconic magnetic hands, which are just really fun to mess around with. All the hands are painted pretty well, they're sculpted nicely, though there is the one gripe of them coming off very easily from their wrist pegs, and I think in my opinion they're just a little too small, but I think it's honestly pretty impressive that for them being this small, they're pretty well detailed. And the final accessory you get is this little unmasked head sculpt, which is cool for display, but me personally, I don't ever display my Spider-Man with their unmasked head sculpt. I would have rather had, say, another masked head sculpt with expressive lenses, but Mafex did a pretty good job with his accessories. And now for the main event, which is the figure himself, and yeah, he's pretty damn fun. Checking out the painted and sculpted details, this is some pretty good work from Mafex here. The red and blues pop a lot and they're painted with a nice metallic coat, though there are some bunged up areas, like this bicep area here where the red and blue are kind of bleeding into each other and it just kind of looks ugly. And I'm not too much of a fan of the black wash Mafex gives their comic Spider-Man, because in some areas it kind of bundles up, making some spots in the figure look too dark, but on this figure it looks pretty good. And where it does bundle up, it kind of makes it look like comic shading rather than it just being like black wash just spilling out everywhere. A real highlight of this figure for me are the sculpted logos front and back. They're done really well, especially the back logo with this nice bright red, and the black wash really helps bring it out among the metallic blue. The weak point of this figure, much like the other Mafex comic book Spideys, are the web lines, but I think this is the best that Mafex has done compared to their other Spideys, though they still miss some spots here and there. When they do get them all filled in, it looks very nice, like in the back of the traps here above the back spider logo. But the hands, there are some hands where they just missed the mark entirely. These resting hands right here, there's just no paint on the back of the hand. And this is where my complaint from earlier comes in about the black wash. It really bundles up on the hands here, and the hands just look way too dark. But other than that, the webs are nicely done for a Mafex Spidey. As for the body sculpt and its proportions, it's very slender, but also looks pretty damn nice. This is a nice cut and clean Spider-Man silhouette, and it doesn't really get much more classic than this, though if they really wanted to hone in on the 90s Mark Bagley style, And yeah, he definitely needs some more meat on his bones. There's like nothing for the biceps. His thighs are nowhere near the size of the comics, and overall he just needs to be more bulked up if they want to hone in on this 90s aesthetic. Now for, in my opinion, the most important part of any action figure, the articulation, the posability. How well does this guy move? And yeah, he poses very nicely. This is one of the cleanest Spider-Man figures in terms of posability that I currently own. All of his joints are just the right amount of smoothness. They're not too tight, they're not too loose, well, except for my bottom waist here, but yeah, they're just so nice to play around with. And something I can definitely say my praises for, he keeps his posability while keeping the silhouette very nice and clean. There's not too much gapping unless you really push some of the joints, but you don't really need to push this figure to extreme to get the poses. And with the help of this soft diaper piece, stupid leg range, like you can get this guy kicking all the way up and forward. Spider-Man's leg range is probably the most important thing to get right about him. This guy's legs are always in some crazy squat or kicking high up in the air or some other knee bending pose, so you need to get the legs right, and Mafex just hits a home run here. The legs are so clean and they keep the poses very nice and dynamic. I can see where people are coming from when they say Mafex figures feel a little too fragile or they feel delicate. This figure feels like if I were to be too rough with him, he'll come apart very easily, but if you're just careful with your things, guys, I don't think you should have too much issue handling him. As for skill, yeah, I'd say he scales pretty damn well. If you have many Marvel Legends or other figure lines, this Mafex Spider-Man is just going to fit him nice. He isn't too short or too tall, he just fits in nice, and in terms of adult Spider-Man, this is pretty much the height he should be. So the final verdict on this guy, well, if you could gather from the rest of the review, it's pretty positive. I really like playing with this figure. He is expensive. I live in the States, so he's even more expensive. I paid flat $100, I want to say, after, tariffs, stuff like that. He's not worth it for that price. If you live in the States, these figures are never going to be worth it because we're just paying more. If you are looking for a close to definitive Spider-Man action figure that can fit all your needs, this is probably the one that's going to still reign the best. Even after like the Game Reverse figure arts, the Maximum. I know Mess Toys is coming with a new red and blue, and I will pick that up. I will definitely pick that up because that looks really awesome. And it's based off Ultimate Spider-Man from Mark Chicchito. That is awesome. I'm definitely getting that. But yeah, this is definitely still one of the kings. One of the kings. If there are other great action figures of a classic Red and Blue Spider-Man that I do not know of, let me know in the comments. If you want to see me review the other figures I have in my collection, let me know. Yeah, overall I give this figure a solid 8 out of 10.